Hi everyone and welcome to another video. So in this video we will see what are the different kind of count formulas that are available in Excel. Let's get started. So the very first formula that you see is count. Count basically gives you the number of times a number appears in a list of values or in a range of values. To start the formula, type in equal to, that's how you start any formula in Excel, and start typing your formula. So this is count in this case. I'm going to press the tab key on my keyboard and that will auto-complete the suggestion for you. Now you can select individual values one by one from this table. So just to give you an explanation of this table, you have text values given in green color. In blue color, you have a Boolean values, true and false. The ones in black color are numbers. And then you also have an error message here, just to give you a perspective of how count works with different data types. And then you have an empty cell here, which we will use very shortly. So I'm going to say count. I can select individual values if I want. I'm doing this by pressing Control on my keyboard and selecting each cell one by one. This is one way, but I'm not going to do it this way. What I'm going to do is, let me go back. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to just select the entire table here. Okay. So now you can see it selects E2 to G7, the entire table, and press enter now. So now you can see the answer is 7. That's because there are only 7 numbers in this particular range. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Okay. Now if I change, let's say, a particular string, that is pen in this case, to 23. Okay. So now you can see my count changes. So this is how count works for you. The next one is count A. Whenever you need to count non-empty cells in Excel, you can use count A. So in order to use the formula, just type equal to count A, and just like count, you just need to select your entire range of data. So E2 to G7 again, I'm pressing enter. In this case, you can see the answer is 17. That's because there are in total 18 cells, but one cell is empty. Okay. So that's how this works. Now, in order to count the number of blank values, you can use the count blank formula. Just type equal to and then type count blank. So you can see you don't need to type the entire formula as well. Just type count, start with BL and press the tab key. It will auto complete it for you. And now select the entire range. Press enter and you can see 1 because there is only one blank cell in this entire range of cells. The next one is COUNTIF, which is very widely used in Excel. So in order to start the COUNTIF formula, and I'll tell you before starting the formula why it is used for. So the COUNTIF formula is basically used when you have a particular condition and you have a particular range of data. So let me show you what I mean by that. So the first element of a COUNTIF function is a range. First you have to select the range. So in this case, I'm going to, or my requirement here is I want to know how many times the word pen, P-E-N, is mentioned in this particular range. So I'm going to select this range, that is E2 to E7. This is my range. And after the range, you can just type in a comma, which will activate the criteria. Okay. So now you have to type in the criteria. So what is the criteria? My criteria is I want to know how many times the word PEN, pen, was mentioned in this list. So I have, if it is a string, I'll have to open double quotes and type in the character. And I'm going to close the bracket. Or if you don't want to close the bracket, you can just press enter after this. And there you go. So you can see it says 3. The count is 3 because pen appears 3 times in this particular range. All right. That is how COUNTIF works. The difference between COUNTIF and COUNTIFs is that COUNTIF allows you only one condition, whereas COUNTIFs gives you an option to enter multiple conditions. Let me show you how. This is a very interesting formula. So in this case, what we are going to do is we're going to give it 3 conditions. Okay. So the very first condition is, and you can see it mentions that you have to first give a range, that is criteria range 1, and then it says criteria 1. So you have to first give it a range and then a criteria. Then you have to give it another criteria and a range attached to that. Let me show you how. So first we'll select this range. So we have selected criteria range 1. I'll put a comma here, and then you have to select criteria 1. So what is the criteria? From this particular range, I want to, let's say, select all cells which has pen in them. Okay, so I'm selecting that. Then I'm going to select the second range. Second range is this, that is F2 to F7, and I want to know, how many times the number 77 appears. So I can type 77 directly, or else you can, instead of typing the actual value, you can just select the cell which contains that value. So in this case, you can either select F2, or you can select F5 or F6 as well. Okay, but I'm selecting F2 since that contains 77, comma, and the third range. So I'm selecting this range. And what is the criteria or the condition for this range? For this range, we want to know, how many times the value true was mentioned. And I pressed enter right after that. So what happened now is you can see 1 appearing. So let me just explain this quickly for you, before we end our video for today. So this particular formula, let me show you how. So what it does is, you can see the very first condition is E2 to E7. Sorry, the range is E2 to E7. So what Excel does is, in the range E2 to E7, it checks for pen. So let me just pick all the rows that has pen in them. Okay, so these three are the rows. Let me just paste it here for your, understanding. So this is the first table that comes out. What is the second condition? Second is F2 to F7, where we have the value that is present in cell F2. So what is cell F2? Cell F2 was 77. So what we will do is, we will keep all the values that has 77 and just ignore wherever 77 is not there. So I just deleted the third row. So this is our remaining set. Now what is the third condition? Third condition says G2 to G7, that is our third column, should have true. Okay. So wherever true is there, we will keep it, and wherever true is not there, we will just remove it. So now you get one particular row, and COUNTIF basically will return you what is the last value that you got. So in this case, the count of this particular cell will be written, that is 1. Okay. Now, if you change the data source to, let's say, instead of 88 here, I'm going to say true here. Okay. So you can see the data changes to 2 here. The count changes to 2, because now when we, count this particular range of cells, we will have 2 cells which will give you the value true. That is this particular row and this particular row. So count basically is giving you a particular count of that cell which came out after applying this entire formula. So this is how the entire range of count formulas work. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. Please subscribe to the channel, share it with your friends and family, and don't forget to press the bell icon. And we will come up with more videos in the upcoming week. Thank you very much.